All right. I've got good news and I've got bad news. The good news is, in the last 5 seconds, you've become a better D&D player. That's all it took, 5 seconds. Bad news is, you're going to have to watch the rest of this video to find out why. Welcome to Okayest DM. I'm the Okayest DM. So you want to become a better D&D player. One way, of course, is breaking bad habits that make you worse. And here's the 5 absolute worst habits of my players. Number 1, interrupting. If knowledge is power, good listeners have a huge advantage in everything. When you listen instead of talking is when you learn the most. Nobody enjoys being interrupted. If you can wait your turn to figure out what you're going to say and put it together into a concise statement that makes sense in your head beforehand, then you will just make more sense. This is true in both D&D and in the rest of life. Interrupting people is bad etiquette, makes people aggravated and angry, and gives them a worse impression of you as a person. This goes for interrupting the DM and interrupting the players. You don't want to interrupt the DM's description of a wondrous scene unfolding before you, or exactly how you fight at the final battle of your campaign. Those descriptions are going to be long. They might be boring. But if you interrupt them, it's only going to make everything worse. Especially don't interrupt other players, because it's not going to make the session any better. The point of D&D is for everyone at the table to have fun. And if you're constantly talking over each other and interrupting, you're not going to have fun. Role-playing interruptions can be okay in very, very small doses. You can see this in movies and reading books. Characters don't interrupt each other unless it's very much in character, and it doesn't happen that often. You can probably count on any movie you see the number of times a character interrupts another one on one hand. One role-playing story about how interruptions have sort of ruined a session is, for me personally, there was a big bad monologue that was supposed to give the characters information about what was coming next. It was, the monologue in itself was a plot hook that they were going to need in order to continue the journey. And this has happened twice now. In the first one, combat started in the middle as the paladin swung her axe, charged the big bad, raging the whole time. Didn't care what they had to say, just wanted to kill him and get it over with. In the second example, it was a dying big bad. They had dropped him to 0 hit points, and he was telling them something with their last breath. And that was when the ranger came in and just shot him. I had to find other ways to get those plot hooks intertwined into the story, and it was very rough, and it was very difficult. So big bad monologues, although they can be cliche, are sometimes there for a reason, and interrupting is very bad at those moments, as well as almost every other moment. The second bad habit that my players have had is bringing loud snacks. Now, if you're not recording your sessions, this isn't nearly as bad, but I record almost every single session I DM for. And loud snacks are, especially like a bag of chips, will be heard on the recording every time. This loud crunching sound as they reach into the bag, and the loud crunching sound again when they're chewing, just isn't conducive to a good quality recording. Even if you're not recording, a loud crunching sound or any loud noise really will almost certainly break immersion in your character. If there's an intense role-playing scene where a character is dying and someone's over there in the corner, it's not going to... No, don't do that. It's annoying, and you should have more respect for your players than crunching loudly when people are trying to talk and have a meaningful conversation. The third worst habit that my characters and players have is breaking character at the wrong time. I know I am I've done this multiple times. I know it's difficult not to do, but if you have a joke that you really, really want to tell that breaks character, it's something that the player will say and the character would never say, hold on to it. Sometimes it's worth it, and if your campaign is more go with the flow kind of thing and doesn't necessarily do as much talking in character, it's okay. Breaking character every now and then to tell a good joke for the benefit of the table is fine. But this is only because the point of D&D is to have fun. So each time you're about to break character or tell a joke, think about whether or not it will improve the D&D experience before you say it. I know this has to do a lot with impulse control, something I've struggled with a lot over the years. Breaking character at the right time is difficult to do. I know for me specifically, it takes a lot of energy getting into and out of character, and this is why I don't like it when other people break character, because then I have to break character, and it just go into character and out of character, and switching between the Okayest DM talking and the NPC talking over and over and over again really gets exhausting. The fourth worst habit that my players have, and this has got to be up there in everyone else's list as well, canceling sessions. I get it. Things come up. If you have double booked something and a concert that you needed to go to and you only just got tickets 2 days beforehand, I understand. You can cancel the session. That's okay. But don't do that every time, please. Keeping up a schedule for D&D is probably one of the most stressful things that I do that is D&D related. I have found myself needing to ask for everyone's free Sunday afternoons for the next 3 months in order to get these things scheduled. And then 3 months from now, when we finally get to play, if 2 days before that someone cancels a session, it is aggravating. I understand. Sometimes it's not your fault, but you should be, as an adult, keeping a calendar for when you have what, so that you don't double book yourself. If you do end up having something that doesn't allow for D&D to be played that day, like you have a concert to perform or go to, or your work schedule just got changed, let whoever schedules your sessions know immediately so you can reschedule as soon as possible. I find myself going 3 months without a session is really draining for just the beginning. Like, yay, we get to play again. Wait, where were we? What happened? I don't remember anything from the last session. It happens too often to me. And if you can stick to a schedule, have a planner, and know when the next session is and not schedule anything over it, everything is going to be better. More D&D, more fun, more happiness in your life. Highly suggest keeping a calendar and not canceling sessions. The last one on this list for worst habits that my players have, distractions. Oh, this is definitely the most common one I see on DM forums. Phones out at the table, not paying attention to what's going on, especially in combat. I personally restrict phones to secrets related to the session only. I've had sessions where it got bad enough where I said, okay, everyone please hand over your phones. I'm going to hide them. We need to pay attention. And we've had too many, oh wait, what's happenings go on. The reason I restrict it to secrets is because sometimes getting up and going over to a player and whispering something that they know that the other players don't can get repetitive, especially when it happens a lot to one player. Like a stealth rogue is seeing things that the rest of the party isn't and can't communicate it to them. That's a situation where we would be texting back and forth at the table, so I can tell the rogue what they see. If you do end up taking phones away from your players, make sure that you have those breaks, so everyone can go back on, scroll through some social media, check their phones. there's a lot to be said about phones and society and having a need to do this. This video is not the place to discuss it, to be honest. This is just make sure that the phones aren't there to distract you from the fun that everyone else is having. So, thank you for watching this video, and now that you've broken the 5 worst player habits, you no longer annoy your party or your DM, you just sit there, perfectly still and silent for hours and hours in your friend's basement once a week. Guess what? If you do that, you're still a bad player. You can break all these habits and still just not be a great player. Let's fix that in the next video.